Hey guys, so we are live and apologies for the delay. I forgot how to do the Google Hangout live stream. So welcome on. I hope that we are coming through loud and clear. If anyone could let us know somehow. Because you're on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, if you could leave a comment in the comment box if you're watching live or if you are watching the replay. I see there's viewers on, so just want to make sure you guys can hear us, or just leave a comment in the Facebook group. Just say loud and clear, and we will continue forward. And in the meantime, please welcome Carrie on. Thanks.
Hello. Oh, thank you for having me.
Carrie is going to do the whole presentation. No, we're going to do it together. And apologies for any cat noises. They're already starting because I have the light on. There's going to be bugs, and then they're going to be jumping and everything. So I see there's viewers on. You guys can hear us? Everything good? Is River listening?
Yeah, she just turned it on. I could hear it. I could hear us. It's working.
Okay. We can hear ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's good.
Because this does this thing where it switches between screens when we talk. But I'm gonna screen share, and then I don't know if it'll show our faces. But if you want to jump in at any time, Carrie. But for now, you muted yourself? Oh yeah, okay. So I will choose my screen, and I will start the screen share, which I hope works. Present to everyone. All right. I hope you guys can see the screen. Let me just check. Yeah, it was fine. Just give a thumbs up, Carrie. You were seeing it? Awesome. Okay. So we're diving into social sales funnels, and put this little quote in here. People do not buy goods and services. They buy relations, stories, and magic. Seth Godin. So we're diving into kind of like a bird's eye view of the entire thing, right? So what the whole purpose of all of this is with using Instagram and your Facebook fan page and or profile to lead into a group, and how that translates into a funnel, and how is it a funnel. So we're going to dive into what is a sales funnel, components of a social sales funnel, example of social sales funnels. I'm going to say social sales funnels a lot, Instagram and Facebook, and then the 5-step social funnel launch checklist, and then time for action. So what is a sales funnel? Essentially, it's a way that your audience can buy, right? So it is a way for your audience to enter into a purchase transaction with you, your brand offer. So it's a way that they're kind of funneled in to a process or some form of step-by-step kind of thing where the end goal is that they're sold something, right? And hopefully they buy, right? But it's that process of going through that. So, okay, sorry guys, it's not supposed to say customer awareness ladder. As you can see, I used an old slide and I'm a little bit out of it. So yeah, just ignore the customer awareness ladder at the top. But okay, essentially, so this is your funnel, right? This is what a funnel looks like. And so it's biggest at the top and then kind of goes down and gets smaller, because what happens is that obviously when you have kind of a big audience, there's a lot of people out there. And then as they come in and become your audience and go through all these steps, obviously it's the number of people reduces. And then the funnel actually does continue after, which not too many people think about. But those customers, there's different kinds of customers, 3 different kinds of customers. So we'll just dive into that now. So essentially, and I'm using examples from what we're actually doing and teaching in your tribe, which is using Instagram and Facebook. But there's this big audience out there that you're targeting. that you want to bring in to get exposure into your business and to bring them through your funnel. So we're using Instagram, right? Instagram accounts and your Facebook, either fan page and or your profile. But this can come from anywhere. So if you are using other social platforms like Pinterest or YouTube or LinkedIn, if you're using a website like a blog, if you're using any of those kind of, there's those multiple blog platforms that can be used almost like a social platform. Any of those things that will bring in an audience, advertising, paid advertising, banners, email lists like solo ads, like buying traffic, things like that. All of that is ways to bring in an audience. And there's many, many, many different ways of bringing in an audience. And really, honestly, it all works. It's just that you got to focus on something. So we're focusing on Instagram and Facebook because there are large amounts of people on those platforms. And now the next step, so this is kind of like your potential audience out there within your niche that you want to target. Then as they come into your funnel, so they go in and they become followers. So that potential audience becomes a follower on your Instagram page, a follower, or they like your fan page, or they follow your profile, your Facebook profile, or they become friends and send you a friend request, right? So that's kind of like that first step where they're kind of coming into your world. Next is when that follower becomes a lead. And this process is where a follower takes an action of a commitment, such as becoming an email subscriber or Facebook group member, like an opt-in. So this is that point where that follower takes some sort of micro commitment of opting in to something. And this is why, you may or may not have an email list, and we're not teaching how to create an email list. The reason is because we're kind of putting aside all of the tech, right? So all the techie stuff, all the capture pages and funnels and email autoresponders and all of that stuff, which you can use. And if you are using, that's fantastic. But if you've never used it before, or you're not sure, you're confused, or you just don't know how to do all that stuff, you don't have to. And what we're replacing that with is the Facebook group. It's simple, right? I think, most people can go in and set up a Facebook group, just kind of putting together some things, putting together a cover photo, following the steps that we have in the foundations modules, and just throwing a group together fairly quickly in comparison to trying to figure out how to create an entire funnel using capture page makers and email auto subscribers and connecting them all and making it all work, right? And then having just one link lead to all of that stuff together. It can get kind of complicated. So your Facebook group replaces that. And the good thing about Facebook groups is that it does have that kind of opt-in micro commitment type of step, because we're teaching not to just add people into your group, but to get them to request to join. So they're going to come to your group and they're going to click join, and they're going to want to join your group. And then there's the added step where you can add those group questions, which are super crucial, where you can learn about your audience to see if you're getting the right audience, to see what they need help with, depending on what group questions you have set up. So that's kind of like your opt-in, right? And you can write anything you want in those group questions. You can even create a little offer. You can pre-frame them as to what the group is. You can pre-qualify them as they come into the group. And that's kind of what you're doing with a capture page. It's just more complex, right? And the group is a great place to start now. And then later on, if you want to get into building capture pages, the experience you have with building a group and going through this whole process of creating the sales funnel, you're going to be able to transfer that into the skill of knowing how to put it together in terms of like your copywriting, your headlines, like things like that, because you're going to know your audience better because you've done it already in a group, right? Then those leads are now within that group. They're in that Facebook group. And what you want to do is you want to qualify them. So you want to qualify them into, people say leads and prospects together. It's kind of the same thing. But there is a qualification process through the content you post in your group and who you're going to start to see engage, and who's kind of, not always, not everyone will engage. That usually most people that engage will become, not most, but the people that become customers would have been people usually that you would usually see engaged in a group, but that's not always the case. Sometimes people aren't, they're quiet and then they still buy. So it doesn't necessarily mean you'll always see the people that are interacting that will buy, but you will start to see who is kind of more qualified based on who's participating more and more and asking questions and kind of giving info and interacting. So that lead that has been qualified and moved through the customer awareness ladder, and you're bringing them closer and closer to being ready to buy. And you're doing that through the content that you're sharing. And then once you pitch and you present your offer, you have customers, and then those customers can either be recurring, so it's like an ongoing subscription-based kind of thing. It can be a one-time customer, and hopefully if it is a one-time customer, it also leads into some sort of upsells, right? Or it can just lead through a whole funnel of upsells. And so the prospect that buys, those are the three types. And depending on what you're promoting, if you're creating your own products and things like that, you got to really think about these kinds of things of what you want set up in your business. But if you're promoting like an MLM or an affiliate program or anything like that, they usually have a ton of resources and they already have all this set up for you. They may even have upsell sequences within the sales process. All of that is kind of in their end now. It's not really something you have to take care of. You're just really acquiring customers. So you don't really have to think so much about it. Just be aware of what's obviously in the sales process and obviously the products and things like that and what people can buy. Anything that you would want to add to that, Carrie?
No, I think that you got it good.
It's just that title.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. Okay, cool. Thank you. So I shared this before too, but this is kind of that, we're talking these words like sales funnel and customers and acquisition and all these things. And these are important words, but just understand that underneath that, this is actually what's happening, right? Cultivate relationships, not transactions, and you will have a business for life. And I will talk about this a little bit more later, but there is a difference between building an email list and building a Facebook group. People can be in both if you eventually build an email list or you already have one. And I would say the goal would be to have your leads in both. So if you have someone in your email list that's kind of interactive, you would always want to also get them to join your group. And when you're building your group, and if you have an email list, then you're getting them on your email list also. Or if you don't have one yet, in the future, you can build an email list later down the line when you're ready for it. And you would also be getting people onto your email list. But there's something kind of special and magical about a lead or a prospect being in a group, because there's a lot of social kind of aspect to it, social proof, and things that are harder to create in an email setting because it's more private and personal. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. So what are the components of a social sales funnel? Really, what are the components of any sales funnel? There's three kind of parts to it. So first is you need a platform for audience interaction and content sharing. This is kind of the point of where your audience kind of gets to see you first, right? This is that point where you start to come in contact with your audience. So you need a platform for that. And so what we're doing is we're focusing on Instagram and Facebook as those platforms to find and to interact with your audience, right? And these platforms are everywhere. You can use YouTube, you can use a website, right? Going through Google traffic. You can use advertising, you can do all of these things, but you need that, right? Every sales funnel needs that, because obviously if you don't have an audience, what's the point? Right? Then the next part is having another, I don't know what word to use, I use platform like 3 times, but another kind of platform of lead acquisition. So what you're doing is you're moving people. You're moving people from here to here to here. And usually you're moving them from even from different kind of places. So you're moving a person, let's say, from Instagram to your Facebook group to a sales page, right? Or you're moving people from your fan page to your group, which is still the same platform because it's still Facebook, but the group has that commitment, right, where they're opting into your group. So you're still moving that person, and then within the group, you're presenting your offer. And again, right, if you have a blog, your blog is going to be blogging about something. You're going to be moving them, let's say, into an email newsletter where they opt in, and then that email is going to send them to a sales page, right? You're always moving people, and this is what happens within a sales funnel. So for example, right, so we're using Instagram and Facebook, then the lead acquisition place that we're focusing on is your group. And that's, people don't necessarily always think of it that way, but it is. This is where you're gathering your leads, and that's why your group is so important. And then finally, you need obviously your sales offer, and that offer is presented on a sales page. And so it's like a checkout page, or even like a sales, like a mini sales funnel, where maybe it's a video series with upsells that lead through to a checkout. And so this depends on what you're promoting. If you're promoting other people's products like MLM or affiliate marketing or anything like that, they have this stuff already done for you. You don't have to do this. If you're creating everything yourself, then you have to create this on some sort of website or platform. Okay? That's why it's easier to promote other people's products, because you don't have to go through this last step, which has a learning curve within and of itself. Right? So these are the three things. Do you agree, Carrie?
Yeah, definitely. I do. I think that like when you have people in a group, they can interact with you and each other in a different way than they could on an email list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm just gonna take a drink. It's sparkling ice drink. There's no alcohol. Okay. So example of social sales funnels using Instagram profile, personal or business, Facebook profile, and Facebook fan page. So Instagram, right? We've dived into Instagram. Pretty much what you need to have set up on your Instagram profile in order to have a working funnel is your profile has to have a profile picture, it has to have a description, and it has to have a link, right? These are crucial. You need to have these. And then your description has to have a call to action, which leads to your link. And then you're also going to use that call to action in your content. You don't have to have a call to action every single photo. Like you're not going to be like every photo to check out your link, but every, maybe every third or every sixth post that you do, you can do kind of like, even just in the caption of your photo, lead them to check out your link. And that link can go to your Facebook group, or you can even send them to your fan page, and your fan page can lead to a group. But essentially, this is where you're capturing them, right? So every so often, you're going to ask them to just check out your group, and that's how they opt in. So that's it's a very simple beginning of your funnel. And then next, I'll hand this over to you, Carrie. Carrie has some cool info. I don't know if do you want me to share my Facebook?
Oh yeah, sure, if you want to.
Okay. So just quickly, do you want to just go through this first?
Yeah, so something I've used a lot, which works really well, is like what I call a Facebook profile funnel. And that consists of a cover photo and a featured photo and a link in your profile. And so your profile photo, your cover photo can say, you can shorten your group link with Bitly, or it can say click the link in my profile, but basically it just has some text in it so that it's a call to action for people to join your group. And then Facebook gives you the option to have 5 featured photos, but if you just select one, then the featured photo is big. It's bigger than like the little album of the 5. And right below that is a place where Facebook allows you to put your website link. So that featured photo can say something like, join my group, click the link below. And what's really cool about this is that when you go and interact with people in other groups, like I would go where I knew that my target audience was hanging out in, people that I wanted in my group, and I would go interact with their posts in other groups and post in those groups myself. And when you hover over someone's name on Facebook, it automatically shows you a couple of things about them. It shows their name and it shows their cover photo. So if someone hovers over your name in a group, they're going to see your cover photo, just like this one. on Kat's profile, and it'll say join my community. And from there, they can either visit your profile and click the link or just type in the group name. And I've gotten so many people joining my group just from having this profile funnel set up and going and interacting in other groups where I knew my target audience was hanging out at.
Awesome. So yeah, so it will look different on mobile. So if you go on mobile, you guys, if you want to go on my Facebook on your phones, what's going to happen is, so when you scroll, so I actually don't have a bio. You would add a temporary bio. You can add in like a call to action there. And then there's a featured photo here. So here it's small, it's on desktop. And this is where you can add those 5 photos. But instead, if you just do the one like Carrie is saying, when you go on mobile, this looks really big. And then below that, this is the group link. So I have my group link here. I have join our Facebook group here. And then I have the cover photo. And then you can add that temporary bio as well. So all signs point to your group. So this is a funnel. This is a social funnel. And then within your group, you're going to sell, right? And so the cool thing is that Carrie's saying is that even by going and interacting in other Facebook groups where your target audience hangs out, not being spammy or pitchy, just interacting and giving kind of value, when they see your profile, it kind of does the job for you, right? And then even if you have, like, let's say, so this is for people that if you, for example, don't want to be growing a fan page because you've chosen to grow your profile, this is how you're setting up your sales funnel on your profile. And you can have both. You can have this kind of working and you can have a fan page working at the same time. Or if you just want to focus on, you're like, oh, it's too much like to grow my fan page also. And if you're not planning on doing any ads anytime soon, then you can just keep focusing on growing your profile. So your Instagram, for example, can lead even to your profile, your Facebook profile. And then obviously your Facebook profile is leading to your group. So it's like there's always kind of a next step. And the step that you want people to take at some point is to join your group. You want them in your group. And so this is pretty obvious, right? So that's that. Anything you want to add, Carrie?
No, I think like this even works. I know a lot of people like don't want to add random people to their friends list. So this works even like just for people like coming to look at your profile. And I think the featured photo, it does look bigger. Since you're looking at your own profile, it looks smaller. But when I look at your profile on desktop, it is really big and it points to that link below there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, this is like a lot of people think that in order to promote their group or get people to join their group, they need to go to other groups and drop their link. But you don't. Like, this is your link. When you comment and when you leave value in other groups, that is essentially your link, because if people are interested, they're going to come check you out and then join your group based on your profile funnel.
Yeah. And even when you're interacting on fan pages or anything like that.
Yeah.
And another thing too is like if you don't want people, because you will get friend requests, if you don't want to add people as friends, when they click to add you as a friend, they automatically become a follower. So one thing you can do with your profile is that if, for example, you kind of want to keep some things private, but some things more public, then just create security settings where some posts you only share with friends, and then some posts are actually public so everyone can see them, including your followers, right? So like this post is shared public. I don't have all of mine, I think. Like this one was just friends. So if someone is just following me, they won't see the other stuff. And so that way you can kind of cater, or protect some things that you don't want to be public, while at the same time still growing this following here and not having to simultaneously grow a profile and a fan page if you don't want to do that. So this is actually another option that's kind of simple and easy to do. So you would have this kind of in place. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, I also would like link my group on my Facebook profile, but make it public. And I would know when people are going and checking out my profile, because I would see them going through and liking posts that I'd shared like months ago. And then I remember, oh yeah, I made that post public. So like it can also show your most recent post that's public, that's viewable to the public, can be also a link to your group. So it's just like all right there, directing them to your group.
Yeah. And then one thing you mentioned too is that if you add a bit.ly link, so if this cover had a bit.ly link in it, and if I added a bit.ly link here, then you can also check Bitly and see how many people are clicking and just make it specific only to this profile. So you're not going to use that Bitly link everywhere. You just use it here, and you can check every so often and see how many people are actually clicking and like looking at it. And then you can see the effectiveness of the funnel itself.
Right, right. And one of my group questions is always, how did you find this group? So I always know, well, when people choose to answer them, I always know where they're coming from. And I got so many people joining my group just from this method right here.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Cool. So we will continue. All right. So Facebook profile, Facebook fan page. So Facebook fan page is more complex. I mean, it is made for business, and it has a lot more places you can share. So you would have your profile picture, you have a cover photo, you have the fan page description, there's a link, there's a button over the cover photo that you can hover, like a learn more button. There's an about, and then you can also create a pinned post that stays kind of at the top of your fan page, and that can also have a call to action in it. So multiple places. You can even add extra buttons. You can add like extra kind of menu tabs, all of that stuff. So a lot more options. Obviously, you can do like ads and stuff like that if you wanted to do that down the line. But yeah, again, a lot more options. The Facebook profile is simple, but I really like it because of that, because it's just like all the roads lead to the group. That's it. And then, yeah, so with your Facebook fan page, I would say if you do have a website, like if you have a blog or something that you're growing and you want to also send people there, you can add that link into your fan page. But at some point somewhere, and Facebook fan page does have also just a specific join my community kind of link. Make sure that your fan or your Facebook group link is somewhere on your fan page, and that it's, you know, doesn't have to be like, it's not hidden. It's there for people to see. So this is a concept that I kind of learned early on, and think of this more like a web. I tried to make more arrows and things that all point to each other, but then it just looked like a giant mess. But essentially what's happening is that all roads lead to you, and it should never stop. There should never be an end. And what that means is that every single platform leads to something, leads somewhere back to something that leads to you, that at some point leads to your funnel. So Instagram, for example, is leading to your sales funnel, like your Facebook group. Your email list, you'll lead them to your funnel, you lead them to your Facebook, to your Instagram, to YouTube, to a website, right? To any of those places. Facebook leading into your funnel where you're leading to a group. And then your sales funnel. I wrote sales funnel twice. I'm like really out of it. I don't know what the heck. YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn, website, right? So it doesn't mean you have to have all of these in place. We're only focusing on Instagram and Facebook. And Instagram and Facebook are leading into your sales funnel. I think this is supposed to be you. And then you or the brand or your business is leading into your sales funnel, right? So it doesn't always need to be direct where they're constantly or where they're pitched up front, but they are pitched at some point, and the pitching happens in your group. So you want people in the group to be pitched, right? And then what happens too is that there should never be a stopping point. So let's say you put up a post on Instagram. Let's say you have no link in your description. If there's no link, that means that that's a stop. There's nowhere else your audience can go. They can only be on your Instagram. And if there's no link and you're not pitching, then there's nothing happening. That's it. That's all that they can do. They can just look at your content. If your Facebook doesn't have a link going somewhere else where you're leading them to something else, and it's just there and they're just on your Facebook fan page and there's nothing else and nowhere else to go, that's it. That's all that they can do. If you're YouTube, if you're using YouTube, if you're making videos, if you don't have any descriptions or any links in your video descriptions, that's it. That's as far as they get. If your website has no links, no social links, no nothing, no opt-in, no nothing, that's it, right? And you don't want that. See, people think that if someone finds you, like let's say someone stumbles upon you on Instagram and they find that, and then maybe you do one post, one photo share, where you pitch something and they don't buy. And then you're like, oh, that sucks. Too bad. Oh, well, this doesn't work. I'm done. I quit, right? It doesn't work that way. A lot of the time, and most people want to know more. They want to do more research. They want to click on things, and they want to go down kind of a rabbit hole of finding more out about something. If they're in your niche and they're interested in your content, and if you don't give them an option of somewhere to go to be able to learn more, then you're the one stopping them from becoming a customer. It's not them. And we've had this, you know, I mean, this is like, I remember what it was like in the beginning when I kind of, when I learned this, because I used to think like, well, I don't want to seem like I'm spamming the internet because I'm all over everywhere, where I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and YouTube and everything. And then someone said that I should be, and I realized, because we started to get messages from people and emails, and like, you guys are everywhere. You're all over the place. And what was happening was that people were actually asking us less questions because they were doing more research on their own. And they were going out and they were going, let's say, on Facebook, on our fan page, and then the fan page led to, let's say, Instagram. And then Instagram led to a video, and then the video led to an email, and the email led back to Facebook. It was like, it was a constant thing. They were like trapped in our web. And some people would leave, and that's fine. But some people would stay, and they would research, and they would kind of look at different things. And then one thing would trigger them, and they would buy. And if it wasn't for that, if I had stopped it and there was no more options for people of where else they can go to look at more stuff, to interact and engage, if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't have become customers, right? If I didn't give them that option. So this is what you want. You want things to lead to the next thing, and it should never stop. So your Instagram has to have a link. It has to lead to, let's say, your Facebook profile or your Facebook fan page. You can lead them directly to opt into your Facebook group. Then your Facebook profile is leading into your Facebook group. Your Facebook fan page is leading into your Facebook group, right? You can also have a website link, and then your website, if you have a website, if you don't yet, that's fine. But it should also have social buttons on it, and it should lead to more options. And then your Facebook group, you're going to be sharing content, and even within the group itself, you know, obviously you're interacting as your profile, or you can interact as your fan page. So it's like, there's always more, and you want that. You want there to always be more, where they can look at stuff, they can research, they can click on stuff, and they can find out more about your brand or your products or whatever it is that you know that they're kind of already enjoying or interacting with. Carrie, do you want to add anything?
No, I think you covered it. I mean, the goal is to be omnipresent, be like everywhere at once. So everywhere they go, they're reminded of you. Because, I mean, yeah, attention spans are short. So everywhere they go, they see stuff from you. They're going to be reminded to go where you're pointing them to.
Yeah. It's like they can't get away from you.
Yeah. When I first found you guys, actually, I was seeing you everywhere. Like, that's why I can't even remember the first, like, what actually was the first interaction I had with you online, because it was one of your like social profiles. I don't know which it was, but because I saw you everywhere. After I saw you the first time and I visited your pages, then I saw you everywhere.
Yeah, I think I remember asking you, and you're like, I'm not sure. Was it YouTube, Facebook? I don't know.
Yeah, it was YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or all of them at the same time, actually.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, that's what you want. So if you guys feel like, you know, oh, I'm on Instagram, and then I'm on my fan page, and then I'm on like my profile, and then I'm growing my Facebook group, like it can feel kind of like you are also yourself all over the place, but that's the point. And it's a good thing. And some people will leave, and that's fine and good, because if they don't want to be your audience, they're probably not customers. But other people will kind of, that likability is going to increase, and they're going to be more and more interested in what you're offering, and you want that. Cool. Thank you. So I call this your brand bubble or web. So from the point where your audience comes in contact with you, no matter on which platform, they have now entered your web or your bubble or your world, right? And within your web, there's never a stopping point, and there should always be a next step your audience can take. Instagram to Facebook, Facebook to group, website can lead to multiple places, YouTube to Facebook, whatever, etc., etc. Everywhere that they go, there you are. And the ultimate end goal is for them to see your offer and enter your sales funnel, right? To actually go through the sales process. They may not buy right away, but the option opportunity should always be presented. This allows people to do A or B. They either move up the awareness ladder, which I talked about on a previous training, within your brand bubble to eventually buy, or they leave, right? And when they move up the ladder, it doesn't mean that they necessarily become a customer right away, but they are moving through that ladder closer and closer to becoming a customer. Some people will be ready to buy now, and some people will be ready to buy in a while, right? But if they're staying in your bubble and you're giving them the opportunity to be in this kind of web where they can continue to look at different content across different platforms, then you're helping them move up that ladder because of that. So always keep the end in mind. If you are solely focusing on growing your Instagram and Facebook audience as your primary traffic source, which I highly recommend that you focus on, it should always be extremely clear of the next step to take, and it must lead to your sales funnel. So easiest thing to do is Instagram leads to your group, your Facebook leads to your group, and funnel people into your group, and then you're growing your audiences consistently on Instagram and Facebook, right? So within the Your Tribe workshop, avoiding any additional tech or subscription tools such as Capture Pages, email subscribers. For now, your funnel is your Facebook group. And this is like, it does not have to be any more complex than that. I see so many people utilizing groups where they're selling, and they're selling either physical products, or they're selling digital products, or they're selling, as part of team building, or, business opportunity, or network marketing, anything. And they're selling all these different kinds of products very successfully in a Facebook group without fancy sales funnels, without any kind of even autoresponders, nothing like that. You can use those things, and those things also work, and people also use those things. But what I'm trying to say is that people, sometimes we almost want things to be more complicated, and they don't have to be. They can be very simple, and this is as simple as it gets. So this is where you want ultimately everyone to go, and you're building your list in your group. Your group is your list, right? If you're also building an email list, you can drive people from your email list into your group, and then your group into your email list. They can be on both platforms, and they're considered leads, right? Because within this space, your leads will become qualified as customers at some point. So even if you use Capture Pages website, using the group as an added step as part of your funnel will be an additional excellent place to present your offer. Selling in an email list versus a Facebook group is very different, and both are effective. The difference is that someone on an email list, right, they get an email in their inbox, and it has that more private feel. And that's why email lists work, right? You can get their attention. You can use different headlines. You can use, there's definitely a huge focus on copywriting and being good at copywriting to sell through email lists. And so that does take practice and experience and learning, right? But there's that kind of private feel because it's just one person that, they get an email into their own inbox. They don't see any other people. They don't see how other people are or how they're reacting or responding to your email. It's just them and your email. Whereas a group, there's that social aspect, and that social aspect can really help along the sales process because that in and of itself creates authority, right? And I talked about this before. There's different kind of levels and layers, and so even for now, as you're building your group and then eventually build an email list as well, and then get people from your group also onto your email list, you'll kind of see there's the process of selling is still the same, but the way it happens is a bit different, and the way people do it is a bit different. And so you would see that at some point as you're growing your business online. So anything I want to add, Carrie?
I think you covered it.
Okay. How do you feel like for you? Like, where are you more comfortable buying? In a group or in a list? Or how have you bought?
I've bought both ways. I feel like a group is, it's more of a community. It's a place where you feel more comfortable in sharing. I mean, hopefully you'd feel more comfortable in sharing, and it's more interactive, and it's a space where you hang out every day, whereas an email list, I mean, I've bought both ways, but an email list is just something you get every day or however often the emails go out, and it's a much different environment. So a Facebook group is a lot more social.
Yeah. So see, there's no, go on.
Oh no, I don't know. I don't even know what I was going to say.
Okay, there's a question from Winnebago Wonders. So, question: if you choose to go with a Facebook group instead of a Facebook page with your sales funnel, are there more advantages to building a group, i.e., marketplace to sell future shop stuff? So, what I'm actually saying is that the option here is if you want to grow a Facebook fan page versus a Facebook profile, right? You can use both to grow that initial follower audience. Right, so I'm gonna just go back to, so where was I was capture page. Okay, so this point here, these followers, this is where you're either growing your fan page or your profile on Facebook. That's the choice you're making. You can grow both, but those are the followers. The group everyone has to have. The group is different from a fan page. A fan page, someone clicks like and they follow your fan page, and that's it. And they see content, and actually the reach isn't all that great, right? Reach is much higher in a group, but the group is where your leads are. Fan page is followers. So you can choose and decide, do you want to grow a fan page or do you want to grow your Facebook profile, like how Carrie was showing with the profile sales funnel, right, where you have the cover photo with the group and all that, and it's leading to your group, or your fan page leading to your group, right? Even if you have a sales funnel in place, if you're creating like with actual capture pages and email autoresponders and all of that, I would still recommend, yes, you're building an email list, and that's really fantastic and really good, but also lead them into a group. So I would say everyone has a group. The group is the sales funnel. Without the group, it's going to be harder to sell. And you can sell any kind of product in a group. You can also do it on your fan page, and people do that successfully too. But there's an added layer to growing that group because there's that opt-in feel. Because someone has to request to join, there's questions they're asked, and this is crucial information for you. And then there's a promotion cycle and a phase that you go through in a group that's very effective. So I hope that answers your question. And I hope that was clear. Okay, let me go back to where I was. Here? No. All right. So email lists, fantastic. They work. If you don't have an email list yet, don't worry about it. That is something you can set up at some point. For now, the thing you're focusing on is making sure you have a Facebook group in place and that you're growing it. And you're growing it by using the strategies for Instagram and your fan page and or Facebook profile. So if you don't use Capture Page's website, focus on growing your Facebook group because it is the simplest and easiest place to have a working sales funnel in place almost immediately versus setting up a capture page. There is a much bigger learning curve. And this is kind of the whole point of this, because you can have a funnel ready to go fairly quickly because you have your group, you create a Facebook group, and it doesn't take very long. You put a cover photo, all that stuff, set up the group questions, bam, you're done, right? Versus if you've never made a capture page, trying to figure out how to make a capture page, how to make it effective, because it requires copywriting, right? It's not just the tech and making it look pretty. The words matter on the capture page, and that's a skill. And then setting up the email list, having emails already written, set up, and an autoresponder also requires a lot of time. Then trying to link them where your capture page actually effectively goes into your email list when a person puts their email, and then trying to, like, the major focus with capture pages and email lists is a lot of it, because obviously it's like all written, unless you're sending to a lot of videos. You have to, it requires experience, and it requires a certain amount of knowledge in copywriting, because it's all words, right? And this is something that when you get experience in selling in a Facebook group and it being much easier to set up, you can get that started now. When you gain that experience and have gone through a value cycle and a promotional cycle, which I'll kind of go into in a bit, that experience will help you as you grow your business to, at whatever point you're ready at, when you're setting up your capture page and your email list, you're going to have way better understanding, because you'll already have experienced selling and experienced it in a group setting where it doesn't take that much to set up to begin with, right? The learning curve isn't that high, and really is just getting in there and getting your hands dirty and getting to work, right? And getting to work and growing your group and getting people in there and actually going out and pitching and selling and doing that, and not creating more hurdles before you get to the point where you sell again, right? The point is really to sell, to get yourself to a point where you are selling. And even if it flops, even if you don't make a sale, that's fine. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But trust me, there's far more setup to have a working capture page and an email list. And it stops a lot of people. Like, they get to that point and they don't even have leads. They have no leads, but they're just stuck in that setup of the capture pages and trying to write these compelling emails and trying to understand copywriting and trying to create a promotional cycle and all of these things. And then before even getting that first lead into even seeing all that stuff, it may take weeks, it may take months to get all that stuff in place, and there's no audience growing. Whereas a group is done, it's set up, you have Instagram and your fan page growing with a new audience, and they're just funneling into your group, and they're just going into your group, and your group is growing, and they're ready to be pitched. And you can pitch, right? Whereas an email list, you still have to learn how to grow, you still have to get an audience in there, but you're setting it up for who knows how long, and possibly changing your mind about the whole thing before it's done, and then doing it over again. I've seen people do that many times, to restart sales funnels and restart capture pages and email lists and all of these things. And really is just getting to the point where you are selling and you are gaining that experience. So once you have experience selling within your group, you can transfer that experience to learn and create a very effective sales funnel using additional tools. Sales can happen on any platform. So the goal is to learn how to sell and to gain experience with it, and then apply those skills across different mediums like other social platforms. I mean, you can even sell on your Instagram profile, on your Facebook fan page. It's just we're adding this group as a layer to replace that email opt-in that you would normally have with a capture page. Carrie, you want to add anything?
Nope, I think I'm good. I think we have a couple questions on the YouTube feed.
Okay. I don't know where they are.
Okay. Janice says, do we have any examples for a Pinterest examples for a sales funnel?
Not yet. We'll have the Pinterest training a little down the line.
And then Jacqueline says, when you start pitching in your group, won't others start feeling inclined to pitch their own stuff? And if we pitch in our groups, will Facebook shut us down?
So the first part, you're the owner of the group, right? I mean, Facebook owns it. Let's not forget we're like on Facebook, but you are the creator of the group. And so the group is fully in your power. If someone is pitching them, you have the right to just remove them. You can address them. You can say this is a no pitch zone. This is kind of that initial setup of your group. So you can even write kind of like sort of like rules for the group. When you add people into the group and you welcome them, you can kind of do a little like kind of summary of what the group is about. And it doesn't have to be a pitch fest. I mean, as soon as anyone pitches, like, I'll just delete them. And I used to think the same thing because I used to see a lot of groups, like even like really big groups, and all it was just spam. Like it was just people were just spamming every day. There was like hundreds of thousands of people in the group, 50,000 people in the group, and everyone was just going in and sharing a link, and no one was interacting, no one was liking, and I was like, this is pointless, right? This is not how it works. And I was scared that if I started a group that the same thing would happen, so what's the point? But I started a group and I started to learn, I started to research, I started to look at different ways of kind of like team building. And my group, no one pitches ever, pretty much. Like once in a blue moon, and they're just deleted. Usually, like some group owners will actually message a person and we'll just give them a heads up and be like, it's a no pitch zone. If you want to do that, you can reach out to them. If they do it again, just delete them out of the group, or just delete it, right? I don't really even do that anymore. I just delete them. And if it's really something that I feel like maybe the person isn't right for the group, I'll just remove them from the group just automatically. And that's it. And no one ever pitches. I mean, you guys see in Freedom Vibes, you never see anyone in there selling anything, right? No one else is like pitching anything. And it's usually just my posts, right? And you can have it where it's like, if you want to have it like as a community where you want people to also be posting their content, like maybe posting quotes or posting questions and things like that, that's all on you. It's you. You are the one that is setting up the vibe of the group. And that vibe continues off from as people join and what you allow. So it's all on how you want to run your group, right? It's totally up to you. And then I forgot the second part of the question.
It was will Facebook shut you down? I think if we pitch in our groups, can't Facebook shut you down?
Facebook can shut you down at any moment. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter, right? It's not really. I wouldn't be worried about that at all because if anything, your group is actually the best place to pitch because it's a community. And the way that Facebook kind of views all of it, and you guys, I mean, I'm actually kind of blown away. Like I've been on Facebook the past few days, and it's like I see very little ads. I see like no viral videos anymore because I remember I used to get caught in like cat viral videos forever, and now I haven't seen any. I don't see fake news. I don't see any of that stuff. I just see like I'm seeing posts from people I haven't seen in like probably years. And I'm like, oh, I forgot about this person. And it's cool. And I'm like staying on Facebook longer now because I'm like interacting with people that I actually want to interact with. And so they actually delivered because I talked about this at the beginning of the year of the changes coming with Facebook about how they wanted to move away from all of that. And they wanted people to have more real connection and interaction on Facebook. And they delivered on that. So you're probably all seeing more posts from friends and family versus like pitching and all of that. So yeah, if you pitch on your Facebook profile directly where you're just like selling something and like spamming, or even on your fan page, direct selling just like that, yeah, you can get banned because Facebook doesn't want that. It wants value content, right? That's why we talk about sharing more value. And so the workaround is that you're leading people, you're sharing value, you're sharing inspiration. And Jacqueline, you share amazing content with your videos. You're like bang on. It's perfect what you're sharing. And the workaround is you're leading people into a group. And so just like an email list, and if any of you guys have an email list set up, and you guys probably all, sorry, I'll go back. The whole GDPR thing where they're changing probably everyone is seeing all these like policy updates and changes in like your inbox from every platform right now. Everyone is updating their privacy policies because of this whole GDPR thing in Europe, where they're kind of they're really focused on those privacy settings, like that, people are aware of all these things, probably because of like all the stuff that happened with Facebook. Where people are aware that if your site is cookied, or they're aware how you use their information, right? And this is a big thing online right now where people want to know how their information is used. And so the way that Facebook will look at it is if someone requests to join your Facebook group, they are agreeing to want to see that information because they're joining a community centered around keywords in that group, because your group has a name and your group has keywords set up, right? This is what I taught. This is how you get found on Facebook search. The kind of layer to that, though, is that you built a community around that keyword, around that niche. And so people are going in and wanting that information. Just like if a person has a capture page, and that capture page needs to be very clear now, and that's like why you see all these privacy settings and all of these things being updated of what are you going to do with their email, right? It's kind of more gray area because people do different things. Whereas in a Facebook group, they're joining your community. And so you can share in that community, and there's different kinds of groups. I mean, if you're going to be pitching constantly and selling like e-commerce products or creating a marketplace, you can make a marketplace group and you can actually sell directly in the group. There's actually, my cat is here. There's actually posts you can create that are selling posts. That's like a direct selling post. So if you're worried about that because you have e-commerce products, then create a marketplace group. Like you can do that. So don't worry too much about that. It's more about pitching. Like if someone becomes friends with you on Facebook, they're becoming friends with you. They're not necessarily there to buy something from you. That's why if you're constantly pitching on your profile, Facebook doesn't want that. It wants real connection. And it's the same with fan pages too. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that answers that. Were there other questions, Carrie?
I think we got it. Let me see.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, definitely if it's your own group, you make the rules. So, I mean, in my pin post, I have, no spam, no pitching except when asked for it. Like you can do a weekly post where people can pitch their services, but people are coming to your group to learn from you, not from other people. So when you do recommend products and services, you are recommending those products and services to help people. And if other people are pitching in your group, then that's not their motive. They're just pitching just to pitch. So
yeah,
it's totally cool to make those rules, and it's totally cool to get rid of people who don't follow them.
Yeah. You are the boss.
Yeah. I mean, it's your group. You went through all that trouble to grow that group. If other people want to pitch in a group, they can go make their own, basically.
Yeah, that's my.
And I have seen group owners tell people that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if they want to be so forward as to say that.
Yep. Cool. Okay, we shall continue. So the 5-step social funnel launch checklist. Long title. Okay, so these are the 5 steps. So this is an actual launch, right? You're promoting something. And yes, it does depend on what you're promoting. If you are promoting low ticket items, whether they're physical products or digital products, but they're low ticket, let's say under $100, under $50, under $100, I would say that you don't really need a very long launch cycle. You can be promoting, every few days. You can be promoting once a week. You can be promoting like multiple times a month. You can have like flash sales. You can do all of these different things. You can hold contests and have them fairly often. But as the price kind of increases, as you have higher ticket items, the launch kind of increases in time because you kind of need to pre-frame people, and then the pitching itself will have kind of a time frame to it. So let's kind of dive in here. So first and foremost is you're engaging your audience through value content. So you've all been doing this, right? On Instagram, on Facebook fan page, profile, and in your group. In your group specifically, now we're only talking about the group at this point, right? Your group is where you are now. You've qualified people. These are your leads, and you're qualifying them to bring them as close as possible to buy. So they either buy now or they buy at some point or they leave, right? That's what you want. And so what you want to do is that you're going to be sharing value content, but your group is where you want interaction and you want people to be engaging, and you also want to be learning from them. So I talked about this on a previous kind of training, but there's something we call the yes posts. And this is where you're kind of getting a gauge of, first of all, it's like multiple things. So I recently did a post, can you see me? Right? I did something ridiculous where I wrote, if you can see me, or if you can see this post, click yes. There's no yes button. There's a like button, right? And I just did it. It was just silly, right? And I did it on purpose. It wasn't a mistake. And a lot of people clicked like, and then a lot of people wrote yes. And the purpose of that was I just wanted to see how many people actually see the post and how they would interact and respond. And it's a bit different because it's like, oh, wait, like there's no yes button. So it kind of catches their attention a little bit too. So yes post, that's the simplest. And that's really to increase the way that group works is that the more engagement you get, the more reach you get. And as your engagement grows, your reach grows, so that when you do get to the point where you are pitching, you want as many people as possible to see those posts. So you're consistently increasing the reach in your group through your value content. Some posts will be super simple, and really the only purpose behind them is interaction, because you want to have high reach. And if you have stopped interacting or you stopped doing content, that's fine. You can build up all of that. And I've done it many times over, and it's not hard to do. You just start with these weird, funny posts that are, they can be funny. They can be like, post a GIF comment or GIF. Is it GIF or GIF, right? Ask the question. Anything like that, just to get them interacting. Next is polls. Polls are fantastic because people like to click on things, and they may not necessarily want to type something in yet. Maybe they're shy to engage, right? Or maybe it's, maybe this will be the first point of engagement, a poll, because you just click it, right? It's just they have options, they click it. And so polls are great to increase interaction and reach in your group. And at the same time, you can also create polls to learn about your audience. And you want to, because a lot of the time, and the thing is that your polls, you're also the one gaining clarity on what they want, and not only on what they want, but how it's presented to them. And if there's a wording or something, and this is where you're also learning copywriting, because the way you present the poll, you can always change it. You can change up the words, you can change up the way you ask the questions, and even the way that you ask the questions can change the way that people interact in the poll itself. And that wording and all of those things that you're doing with this content, even with your yes posts, you're going to use all of this because you're literally learning how to pitch later and what they want and how it's worded when you pitch later. This is how I've pitched. I've literally used word for word things that I've asked in the past where people have really responded to it and wanted it. And I just copy and paste the whole sentence over into my headline for my pitch. That's how I do it, because I'm going off of the direct feedback from people, right? You want to have consistent content. You're asking questions. You can post videos. You can share informative posts about your brand. And this is, again, where you learn about your audience, right? And at the same time, growing your audience, because the audience you're growing in your group is who you are going to pitch. So if there's no audience, there's no one to pitch. And if your audience has been growing for a while, it's time to pitch, right? And all the roads lead to your Facebook group. So next is you're going to plan your promotion and your pre-sale. So based on the pricing of your product, and also looking at if you're selling with a company, like let's say you're selling, like you're in network marketing or you're an affiliate of a product, they also will have their own promotional cycles, so you can sync with them. If you know that, like let's say a lot of companies at the end of the month, they have a big push, and usually they'll have a promotion at the end of the month because they want to have X amount of sales before the month closes. Because a lot of times, let's say network marketing, your ranks are based on the numbers you do within that month, right? And so people have that big push at the end of the month, and the company will usually have a promotion. They might launch a new product, they might launch a contest or a challenge, and you can sync with that. So if you know, okay, my company has been sending me emails about this and I know that they're going to be doing this, well, let me get on board with it. Let me plan it out and know that I'm also going to promote during that time, and I'm going to just use their resources of what they share. And if you don't have that, if you have your own products or you don't really have like the affiliate program, maybe doesn't have a promotion cycle in it, that's fine. You plan it yourself and you plan how long will I do it. So if you're doing it within a month, if it's a higher ticket product, you can pitch at the end of the month and you can kind of build up to it. If it's a lower ticket product, you can be pitching every few days. You can do a flash sale. You can do a contest the next week, but you want to plan it out. So you're planning out this whole kind of promotion phase. Next, you're going to create your free offer or training or challenge or contest, right? So you got to map it out. What is it? What is it you're offering? And this is that point where this content you're sharing here, whether you create a free video, whether you have some sort of a contest going, whether you have a challenge, maybe you want to do some sort of boot camp or a challenge or something, or even offer a training or a PDF or something. It has to stand out and it has to be bigger than what your normal, usual value content is. It stands apart. And it has to, in some way, shape, or form, answer or help them with a big desire of theirs based on the research you've done in the value phase. So you can kind of understand what you're doing in the value phase is you're gathering information constantly, learning about your audience, and growing your audience. This is like a constant. You're always doing this because when you get ready to pitch, you gotta know this stuff. And sometimes it might feel like you're kind of pitching in the dark because maybe you feel like, oh, I don't feel like I know what they want. That's fine too. The way you're going to find out is when you pitch. And so you're going to create that offer, and then now you go into the pitch. So let's say you decide last week of the month you're going to be pitching. So let's say it's 7 days. You're going to pitch for 7 days, right? The first day, you present the offer. So you launch it. You launch the contest, or you launch the training, or you release the training. And then that training, if it's a video series, or if it's like a training video, or if it's a company video, or something you're provided with as a promotion, that is the first point of pitch. And that should lead to the pitch at the end, right? So that offer, or that contest, or that challenge should ask for the sale. It has to ask for the sale. And now this is where most people stop. They do it once, and then they're like, it's like throwing a bomb and running away. They're like, just here. And then they run and hide. And they're like, I'm done. And then they like cover their head and they're like hiding, and they're like, and then they check and they're like, there's no sales, and then nothing happens. And then they're like, I quit. I hate this. Right? Or they just go back into value and they're like, oh, it didn't work. Right? I should do something completely different. No, the first point of pitch is not, you don't stop there. You keep going. So you would keep selling for the rest of the week because people aren't always going to buy right away. Like a lot of people think that just because someone has seen something that they are ready to buy. And it's not the case. I mean, a lot of the time what happens for us is that first point of pitch, there'll be some sales, but most of the sales will happen after, kind of midway through that pitching week, let's say, because we forget, like even though we are consumers and we buy, we forget. So if I pitch on a Monday, right, I might not see sales till Saturday. Why? Because people are like busy and they're doing stuff, and then they see something and they're like, oh, I want to join that, or I want to buy that. But I'll do that at the end of the week because I'm busy. And that's it. And that's the only reason. And then we sometimes as business owners, we're like, oh, this sucks. Like they don't want it. No one wants it. I suck. And then that's it. And then they stop pitching. Whereas that person may have just forgotten. They had every plan to buy and they just forgot. And if that person stops pitching after the first time, they're never going to get that customer because the customer will just forget and move on. And that happens like more than anything that happens. That's why you have to keep selling. So the next step is keep selling and keep promoting. And I'll tell you, I struggled with this because I felt like I was in people's faces. I was like, no one is responding, no one is commenting, no one wants to buy, like it's not working. And the thing is, it is working because you're not in the minds of everyone else. You're in your own mind, and you know, we can be hard on ourselves, but you need to keep going. And so you continue to present this offer now for the rest of the week in different ways. You can do a video, you can do a Facebook Live, you can do a long post, you can share a story, you can share a testimonial, you can ask to do an interview with someone, you know, from the company or using the product or something, right? You're doing something and you're continuing to present the offer for the rest of the week. And this is part of the plan, right? So this is what you're planning out. This is what you're doing in kind of the second phase where you're planning your promotion and your pre-sale. And you have to do this. So, Carrie, did you want to come on and add anything?
Yeah. So that's like so relatable, is like pitching and then running and hiding, because I did that so many times. I feel like once I get it out there, I would get so scared and then like not even want to check and see if I got comments. That's like one of the most relatable things ever.
Yeah. We all do it. And
yeah,
then
but I mean,
go on.
Yeah, even though you feel like so weird about it and you just want to hide, like people are watching that and people are still looking to you and people view you a lot differently than you're viewing yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the crazy part.
So
like I used to...
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, we have like a weird delay or lag. Yeah, I mean, this used to drive me crazy because I would be so down on myself after like not getting sales and then like not getting comments or feedback, and Romeo would be like, just relax, like people are like busy, they're at work and they're like doing stuff and they're busy, they have things to do, and then always like sales will come in after, and that's what it was, and I would get that feedback. They're like, oh, I was gonna join and then I forgot and then I just did it later and that was it. And meanwhile in my head I had built this elaborate story of how much I sucked. Right? And then the thing is that yeah. And the thing is that the only thing that can help with this is experience. You just keep doing it because each time you do it, you learn a little bit more and you start to see like, okay, these feelings and these emotions and these fears that I have, they're relevant and I feel them and that's fine, but what's actually happening is different from that. And you start to analyze your business, you start to look at the data, you start to be like, oh, okay, you know, last time I did this, it didn't really work. If I presented a little bit different, and then you do it and then it works a bit better, then you're like, okay, so this is just what I needed to do. And you kind of adjust and can set aside, you can still feel them, like there's still those, you know, butterflies and all that stuff, and that's fine, but you set it aside. And I'll tell you guys, it gets to the point where, and I'm telling you personally, like I used to struggle with this so much. Like when we started, I am not kidding, it was like our first year online, and we were promoting we're promoting a BizOp, but we're promoting like multiple things and trying different things and like just trying to do everything. And we decided after studying and kind of looking at other people and like learning that we were going to do a webinar series, a 3-part webinar series. And then the third webinar is going to sell. There's a big fight. Hey, who's growling? Sorry. Someone's growling. And legit, it took us 8 months to create the webinar series. 8 months. And half of it was like, you know, we still had like kind of things happening and we were like doing little things. We were following like company promotions and things like that. So we like still have sales coming through, but we were like so excited. We had like this huge plan, and it was so much fear of creating this. And then kind of a lot of self-sabotage too, because I was so terrified of that last webinar. that I would like sabotage totally. And I just felt like I wasn't ready to do it. I felt like who am I to sell? Who am I to like create my own stuff and like create like a webinar and like sell something? I don't know how to do it, never done it before. And so it's like, it was a constant like in my head. And I was so down on myself like the whole time. And it was also this huge buildup because we turned like this kind of, it wasn't necessarily this big thing, but we turned this webinar series into this like giant beast of a thing that like, it was like all this pressure. And we finally got to webinar 3. And I remember I had like a nervous breakdown and I was just like, I couldn't pitch. And it's funny because actually before that, the way that it led to that idea was that we actually created an ad and created an idea for a webinar, and we had the webinar and everything like written out, and I was supposed to do the webinar and it was going to pitch. And this was before the webinar series. And we had people come in, like, it was really good. It was so fantastic. It was so on point. We had people coming in, signing up to watch this webinar. They were pretty much ready to buy. And I broke down. I couldn't do it. And I didn't do it. And I was like a mess. And people were emailing. They're like, when's the webinar? You know, how can I get this information and all of this stuff? And I just remember like my throat closed up. I couldn't. And so the next part was the webinar series and like maybe giving us more time to like put it all together. And then webinar 3 came and we had, I think maybe a couple sales when we launched it. So it was like totally down. Like we did all this work and you know, we released it and I felt really crappy. Like I was like, we did all this work and it was really amazing. Like we did really put a lot of work into it. But what happened was that led us to that webinar series we continued to use, and it helped us to create our income over the course of the next year. And so that work, yes, it took a while, but it led us to starting to make like big upsells in our business. It started to like, we made our first $1,000 day, I remember. Then we made our first $3,000 day, then a $5,000 day. And it was just like, it was crazy. And it led us to where, you know, we would continue on. We had our first like $20,000 month. Like it was crazy. So all of that stuff still led to that. So it's like, you never really know what's going to happen until you look back, and you got to just go through with it. So I'm challenging you guys to do this, to go through this checklist. And I know unless you have pitched already, you know, keep pitching. If you haven't, just to go for it now and to create something and put your offer together, put together a video. It doesn't have to be a video series. It can just be one video. It can be a written post. It can be anything. And to actually go through a whole pitch cycle and go through selling, right? Even if you don't sell yet, it's perfectly fine. But that experience, you can't buy that experience. Did you want to cut in with anything, Carrie?
I just wanted to say that, like, as an outside perspective about your 3-part webinar, I would have never, ever, ever guessed any of that you like went through any of that like internal stuff, like, because that's what that 3-part webinar series is what I initially found you guys on and like wanted to purchase from you. And I would have never, ever in a million years guessed that you went through so much like internal work within yourself and like all of that, because it was so informative and valuable and on point, and all it did was make me want to learn more from you. And you never ever for a second seemed anything less than confident. And so
Thanks.
yeah.
I was. And the thing is that idea actually, we continued that idea and continue to model after that, the 3-part webinar series, and we would just redo new webinar series. And that's like what we've continued on with. And then the funny thing is we learned after, because we kind of put the pieces together, but we learned after that, you know, people were teaching to do this method. And then we realized, you know, why it worked and all that stuff. And it's just, we were just going out there and just kind of doing it. But yeah, I mean, Romeo and I, like, I won't even tell you, we had so many fights. Because even for Romeo, like he was, and he still is, he's very quiet. And on that very first webinar series, he actually taught in webinar 2 the whole thing. And so he would be sitting literally recording himself, and I would hear him just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, and it was just over and over and over again, because he was so nervous and he would talk so fast, and he was trying to train on the screen and all this stuff. And it was hundreds of hours of recording that he eventually like just narrowed down and finally just did it. And he was just like mad. And we would fight, and we would just be like, trying to get it done. But all of that, it led to that. And we obviously, like, we knew what we wanted. We knew that this lifestyle there was no other option for us. This is what we wanted. This is what we're going to do. And so even all of that fear and that pain and just us growing also just internally, just aside from everything business, that internal growth from that experience was so massive that like money can't buy that. It's just the experience of it. So I would say everyone has to experience pitching and selling. And I'll tell you, coming from that very extreme where I was physically ill, like I was physically ill from that, just from all of that. And Romeo too. I mean, he lost his voice so many times just from recording and re-recording, to now I love to sell. I love it. And I don't know what it is about it. I feel like it's this relationship that you can develop with people when they buy. And I, as a customer, love to buy. And so I don't have any of those old feelings that I used to have around selling, that I learned actually from like working in retail and working in all the jobs that I had before, and just the way people view salespeople. I carried that a lot with me. And I think that's why I was so scared to sell. But my experience of selling now is so vastly different, where I love it. And it's part of business. That's the only way your business can grow. And it's something I feel like is an opportunity for growth too, that I feel like a lot of people should experience, because the experience itself is so worth it. And there's so many layers to it, because this is how you grow your business, but this is also how you grow as a person. And I will tell you, it's like this addictive feeling. Like I like and look forward to it. And, I haven't done kind of like a pitch in a while for like just our personal kind of workshop stuff. And I miss it. I miss selling. Like I just want to sell something, because I haven't. And, we have like our affiliate stuff kind of happening in the background. All of that stuff is running, but it's not, it's selling in like the group, the way that I'm kind of teaching you guys. I like that. And I look forward to it. And I love selling on video. I love selling through email. I love selling. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. But I hope it helps to know where I was at and how much pain I went through, and the feelings and all of that. Because it was just like legit, like for real. Like it was like night and day from how I feel now. So this is like a long training, guys. Hope you are cool with that. So to give you an example of like the pitch. So for example, right, pitching in a group. So the group itself, you're sharing value content, asking questions, doing polls, essentially getting people to engage, and you're trying to find out their why, their desires, their problems, what they want. The first thing is you want them to engage. So ask them yes questions, get them to post a GIF somehow, get them to click on your poll, right? Do a poll. Once you get that going, then kind of dive in a little bit more. And you can kind of go between those two, where you do a poll, then you can share something inspiring, then you can do a yes question, then maybe you can do a video. You can share your first video. If you've never done a Facebook Live, do one. People will just tune in and watch if you've never done one before. That can increase your reach. And if you're nervous for any of this, let us know in the tribe and we'll come support you, right? That's why we're in each other's groups too. And just go out there and do it, right? And then you're in the process finding out more about your audience. Next, plan your promotion and pre-sell. So if you have a high ticket offer, for example, a longer promotion. So if it's like a really high ticket, like $5,000 high ticket offer, then yeah, you need some kind of longer promotion for that. The pre-sale phase is where you are really like intentionally, you're sharing value still, but you're intentionally trying to find out as much as possible from your audience. You're asking a lot of questions, doing polls, increasing interaction and engagement consistently. Like in a pre-sale phase where, let's say I know I'm going to pitch for a week, the week before, and even the 2 weeks before, and even the 3 weeks before, what I'm doing is I'm constantly just trying, like I'll even post 3 to 4 times a day sometimes. And you'll know if I'm about to do a pitch because I just start posting so much, and I start posting quotes. I start doing Facebook Lives. I start asking questions. I start asking similar questions. And it's like, didn't she ask this already? But I word it differently. And I just try to do that constantly because I'm trying to get the wording right for when I pitch. And so you can do that. And then with smaller offers, if you're doing a contest 1 week and then kind of doing an offer, if you're kind of doing like a challenge, right? A challenge of some sort, or if someone can win something, or anything like that. Or if you're getting in sync with your company promotions, right? So check out what they're doing and kind of try to sync it with that. And then next, you're going to create this offer. So like, honestly, guys, you can do this on your computer, but when we sit down to do our promotion, it's pen and paper, it's whiteboard, and everything is mapped out. For how long is the promotion and pre-sale? You know, what kind of content are we going to share? What is our end goal? What does our audience want? And then you're always working on finding more about that. But what is the end goal of this, right? And what are your goals for sales? How many sales do you want to get? And then you're planning out the whole kind of pre-sale cycle and the promotion itself, because the promotion isn't just one pitch. It's a consistent ongoing pitch, especially if the higher ticket it is, the longer the pitch can be. And I've seen people even pitch for 2 weeks. And depending on what kind of product you have, right? Some people have like programs they sell, or like, let's say it's a workshop. I see influencers that they only pitch like 2 or 3 times a year, but they do a huge launch where they've grown their audience for 3 to 4 months. And then they have like a 6-figure launch, right? Where they pitch for like 2-3 weeks. And they do this through multiple ways. Like, they offer, like, there's countdowns, and then they close the cart and they reopen the cart and do a flash sale and all of that stuff. And if you look at companies and how they sell, you will see this trend everywhere. In retail stores, everywhere. Everyone has promotion and value cycles, and everyone is always spinning off into something. And the end goal is that at some point when they pitch, it's pre-planned. Everything is pre-planned, right? So you're going to create whatever your offer or way of pitching is going to be. If you're presenting an offer, if you're creating a free PDF, if you are using some sort of company or affiliate like tool, if they're giving you promotional content, if you're creating a contest, right? You're creating the actual images for it and all of that stuff. You're getting all this stuff ready and you're planning it out. And then you release it. So if you created a video, then you do it. Or if you have planned out a Facebook Live, then you can create a Facebook event for your group, lead them into that, and then the actual video that you get people from the event to watch at the end pitches. And that is your first point of pitch. You've pitched now. The offer is out there, and now you got to work your butt off. This is not where it stops. This is where it begins. And so now you are in a pitch phase and you are pitching. You can still do some value content in your group, but the end goal, and you might hear crickets while you're doing this, and that's perfectly fine. Just know that it's okay. You're going to be doing like additional things. So if you're promoting, like, let's say company stuff, well, this is where you really drive with testimonials. You show testimonials because you're pitching, and at the end of each testimonial, call to action is to buy from you. Whatever it is you're selling, to join your program, to buy this product, to join that, whatever it is, right? Then you can have like behind the scenes. You can do a behind the scenes of something. You can show the effectiveness of your product, or the outcome of it, or if it's a contest for like physical products, right? You can show how it works or something like that. And again, you're always pitching now, direct pitch at the end of every one of these things. There's a pitch. It's not a value thing, it's a pitch. And then you can have a last chance. You can have doors closing. You can have flash sale. You know, doors closing in 3 days. And then for those 3 days, you're posting testimonials, you're posting all this stuff, doors close. And then 1 day later, you're like, flash sale, 1 more day, open cart, right? And now you do a full pitch cycle. So if it's a week, it's a week. If it's 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks, right? And that's it. And then when you're done, you know, depending on the kind of things that you sell, if it's a one-time type of thing, then that's it. If it's recurring or if there's upsells, you can still kind of put in some info after if you want to continue it off. And then if you're working with like a company promotion, they may have like extra bonuses or things like that. You can even add your own bonus, and you just go for it. Like you are really going for the sale, right? So just some things to keep in mind. During the value phase, your goal is to grow your audience because this is the audience you will pitch. And this is also the point where you're learning about them. During a promotional cycle, be prepared for losing a portion of your audience. It'll happen, and it's good. Less interaction on posts. You might hear crickets. You might not, and that's fantastic. But just know, because I remember the feeling of what it's like. It's like it's a sucky feeling if you don't have anyone interacting with you. And then that's when we start those stories in our head where we think that we suck, but it's not true. It's just people are busy. And just know that this is normal because this is part of the qualifying process of leads to buyers, right? This is where that funnel, that picture of that funnel, it gets smaller because the amount of people reduces. Not everyone that enters into your brand world, into your web is going to buy, right? That's like a wide audience, but it'll narrow and narrow into your customer. And then each promotion phase, as long as your audience is growing during your value cycles, you will receive more and more buyers. So as you continue and you continue to go from value cycle to promotion to value to promotion, you'll continue to be working off of this energy and momentum that you're building now, where people are climbing up that ladder and people that weren't ready to buy last time, buy now. And then now you're preparing more people also to buy the next time. So just know that each time you pitch, it doesn't mean that within that one pitch, that's it. What happens too is that within that time that you're pitching, you're preparing people also for the next one because they'll be ready to buy then, they're just not ready to buy now. And that's okay too. But that's why you don't want to stop, because if you stop, you can't get there and you can't get into that kind of momentum and compound effect of this because it's really an amazing thing. So always remember, every piece of content you share has a purpose, whether it's during your value or promotion phase. Value is a goal is always, I guess I meant during the value phase, the goal is always interaction, engagement, and getting to know your audience. Promotion phase is always to qualify and help leads to take the next step and move up the ladder. Some will buy now, and some will be prepared to buy for the next pitch cycle. And know your business. Know where you are at now. Are you in a value cycle or promotional phase right now? Have you been in a value cycle for a long time, right? Sit down with a calendar and map out the next 6 to 12 months in your business. Know the seasons, know the market, and study it. For example, sales can and do happen throughout the year, but there will always be peak times, such as September and January is a peak time for people to buy a new beginning, start a new business, diet program, workshop, etc. If you know this, you can plan accordingly, but you must also look at your business now. If you have not done a proper promotion phase yet, plan and do it now. If you have been in a value cycle for a very long time and have not pitched or have only done a short pitch, then plan out your promo cycle and implement now. So really just do it now. Your pitch goal, to do it. You must pitch. Even if you have never done it and are unsure if your audience is receptive or if they will buy, because the only way you will know is if you pitch. The pitch helps you to learn about your audience and to know if they are even the right audience. The way they respond or don't respond is crucial information you need in your business. So if you don't pitch, you may not even know if you're targeting correctly or if you're even in tune with what they want and how they want it presented to them so they can buy. There's no perfect pitch. There's no such thing. This is all learning and all experience. So you just got to go out and do it. And each time you do it, you get better at it. And you increase that skill. It's always a test. I know it can feel scary and out of the comfort zone, but the experience of selling is one of the best learning lessons, and it is literally golden information you can only gain through experience. Think of it always as a test and as data collected. Set your sales goals, be clear about your outcome. How many sales do you want, upsells, recurring customers, and then just go for it. Do the pitch and then compare the data. Carrie, I know I just flew through a bunch of slides. Do you want to add anything?
No.
And is there any more questions coming through on YouTube?
Let me check. I don't see any right now. I don't know. I think my internet's acting kind of funny, but I don't think that there are any right now.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Time for action. So next step, do you have your components? So do you have a platform for your audience, interaction, and content sharing? I assume so. I assume you have your Instagram profile set up and your fan page and or profile, whichever you want to use, or both, and that they have all the things in place. So you have your pictures, your cover photos, your profile descriptions, and your links in place. The next, do you have your platform for lead acquisition, which is essentially your Facebook group? Is your Facebook group set up? Do you have it ready? Do you have your Facebook group link in your Instagram account and your fan page and or profile? That's it. Is it set up? Is it done? And then third, the platform or medium of presenting the sales offer. If you're selling an affiliate offer, then you have a link. If you are selling a network marketing product, you have a link. If you have created your own sales offer, you have a link, right? Whatever it is that leads to the checkout page. And some companies will have a video series already done for you, or some sort of way of presenting the offer, but it's all done. So I would assume that everyone already has all of these in place. Now, plan your pitch. So based on the content you've been sharing in your group, what do you know about your audience? What do they want? And if you still can't answer that question, then make this a part of your plan where for the next week or the next 2 weeks, I wouldn't make it too long, but if you want to, you can take the 2 weeks. Like let's say you're re-engaging your group, learn about them, right? Do your yes posts, do polls, ask them questions, get to know them as much as possible. Do a video. If you've never done a Facebook Live, do a live. Ask them questions about them. Get them to interact with you, right? This is your goal and this is part of your plan. Next, you're gonna plan your pre-sale, right? How long will it be? Your pre-sale is kind of that point where it is part of this whole like getting engagement, but this is like where you're asking those questions and you're doing more polls and things that are more directly related to your business, not so much random stuff, right? Sometimes the yes post can be random and the only purpose is engagement. Well, the pre-sale is where it's a lot more geared towards helping you put together your offer, right? And how you word it and what it is and how it's presented and what your audience actually wants. Then you're going to create your free offer, whether that's planning out the actual, if you're doing a training or if you're doing a video or something like that, or putting together a challenge or a contest, or syncing with your company and seeing what they're offering and promoting. You can kind of create a little bonus leading to that. So you're creating some sort of offer that's bigger than what you normally would share and stands apart from your regular value post content and is answering, most importantly, answering and helping with the big desire your audience has based on your research, right, from the value phase. And then you get that ready, right? So I would sit down with a piece of paper and just map all this out. And time for the pitch, right? You go for it. You present your offer in your group and you begin your pitch phase. And then you continue to go from there where, let's say you're presenting through a video and then that video at the end is pitching, right? It's direct. Then the next day you can do a follow-up post where maybe you post kind of like an added value or like talking about, like even telling a story about you or about someone that's used the product, and it's kind of like a testimonial, but it's like a story-based kind of thing where you pitch at the end. Then the next day you're sharing a testimonial or someone, you're getting a testimonial from someone. So if it's a company or a product that's like already out there, usually there's testimonials already. and you're pitching at the end. Then you can do a behind the scenes and you're pitching at the end, right? And you're just going to get into the habit of saying, you know, you can join here and you can buy here and go to the checkout page here, and you're asking for the sale. You are asking for it, right? And you're going to keep going and then just follow through on your promotion cycle, right? So map all of this out, plan your checklist, and start implementing it in your group. So share questions with us in the Summer Tribe. If you want feedback on your plan, on your checklist, if you want some ideas, all of that, you know, post it in the group and let us know your schedule. So if you need support, like if you're doing a Facebook Live or something like that, or something, anything, and you need some support, like someone to be there, maybe you want to boost some interaction or something like that, let us know so we can come and and help you with that. And if you've learned something, if this training has been helpful and useful to you, then let us know in the group. And yeah, so, you know, join us. We'll do more of a follow-up on questions and things like that next week for this specific training at 8 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be a Facebook Live in the group. And let's rock and roll. Cool. All right. And one more check for questions. Hope that was helpful. Any questions? I wonder if I can see the... Any questions? Oh.
Nope, I'm not seeing any more questions over here.
Wow, there's like a lot of comments. I'm just reading. Yeah, and yeah, the replay will be up. It'll be a YouTube link I'll post. I think it'll be the same link, actually. I think it just takes a couple minutes to like load or something. Okay, cool. So thank you, Carrie, for coming out.
Thank you.
And thanks, everyone. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the group and seeing what awesome stuff you're going to go out there and pitch. And I'm losing my voice. So thanks, Purvita. Bye.